You're ready.
Oh my God! One so showing me shaking my head in my negative 19 feel after that Buffalo game where they all I can tell you is Dolphins number one, baby!
Hands up, baby.
Dolphins number one!
Where if a certain quarterback is mentioned in the comments, got my beers ready. So I'm gonna crack it open.
Or is it a Serbian kid?
Serbian kid!
This was done. Oh my God, it looks fantastic.
I'm the man. I said it, and it's reality. All right.
Congratulations.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Huddle Up and Wait of the Fins Talk Sports Network. I hope you enjoyed that montage our producer set up for us. That was pretty awesome. Of all of the great shows on our network, make sure to tune into all of them. So many different things to talk about. It's not just sports or not just Dolphins. They even talk about wrestling, talk about basketball. Unfortunately, it's mainly the Heat, but you know, it's I can't hold it against them. It's awesome. Awesome network, fun, all family-oriented guys. It was so good to see Evan. I'm hoping that Evan trolls us in the comments. We'll see about that. But right now, it's still NFL season. A couple more weeks. That's all we got left. We got that championship game and then or weekend. Then we got Super Bowl weekend or Pro Bowl, then Super Bowl weekend. I don't even count Pro Bowl anymore.
Hey, the new competition they have, I do like it. I do like the competition that they're having.
Honestly, I miss the days of the 989 sports. Remember the skills competition? I was glad they started bringing that back. That was more fun than anything. I kind of wish they would just put the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl and just kind of make it so it's like a vacation for everybody. Everybody's done. Super Bowl's over. But, well, it doesn't matter. So we have a lot to talk about today. Some rumors, some news. We have to talk about the championship games coming up. So I'm actually looking forward to this weekend. I think both matchups ought to be fun and exciting, and they hold their own little value to them. But let's start out with the news.
First, I want to say there's too much tuna on that montage. It's all teal. Folks, I'm a cheesehead. I don't need that hostile environment, but I'm here anyways.
Well, that's why we're an all NFL show. That's why we talk all NFL. And soon we're going to break in a little bit more than that.
Tuna. But anyways, sorry, I had to get that out of my system. I had to bring the cheese in and flavor it up a little bit. Yeah, you guys were getting stale in the tuna kiss there, Bobby. Anyways, so starting off with the news, the Panthers got a head coach that I didn't expect. They kind of went left field with this one, but it's a good one. They got Frank Reich. Everyone's like, "Oh, Frank Reich did horrible Indy." Well, Chris Ballard gave him veteran quarterback that were aging, bad on runs. Like in their careers, like Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, it was just nothing there. So Carolina, he gets a fresh start. He gets a heck of a wide receiver room, running back room. He gets an offensive line that's been rebuilt. He's got a defense that's filled with first and second rounders. Frank Reich has an opportunity to take this Carolina team to go to worst to first next year because that division was horrible.
And the thing about it, too, is they are setting up for the future. They've been set up for the future after they traded McCaffrey. They're looking for picks. They have some key pieces they refuse to trade, which is good. So they have
Burns,
some guys that
DJ Moore, Derek Brown. Yep.
These guys were all like rumored on the trade block that they're going to fire sale. And they said, no, we want to build these guys, which is actually really smart of them. Frank Reich's a heck of a coach. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think – obviously, if he doesn't do well here, you know, that might burn his last bridge. But I do think Frank Reich deserves another chance. He will run the football. I'm excited to see how he uses DJ Moore. At the end of the day, he's got to figure out the quarterback position. So hopefully they have a plan for that.
They're going to get one of the draft. That's what I think.
I'm sure. I think they're going to use their ammo to go get him. But with that said, the interesting nugget of that, Adam Schefter shared it. was the inaugural season of the Carolina Panthers in
Frank Reich
1995.
started it.
Frank Reich took the first official snap for the Carolina Panthers at quarterback, and he started the first 3 games in Carolina Panther football history. So I think I remember, what was it? Frank Reich was with the Bills, I think.
It was with the Bills because he was with the playoff game that came back against the Oilers, and then
That's right.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I'm making sure that's who I was thinking of, because he played for the Bills in the playoffs. That's what I was thinking of.
Yep.
But calm and steady, tough guy. Was more of a career backup journeyman than anything. But I think he's an intelligent guy, smart, tough coach. I think he'll do fine at Carolina. Just depends on their plan and what they're doing going forward. But I think it's a good match. I do feel for Steve Wilkes, because I thought Steve Wilkes did a heck of a job as an interim.
I thought he was going to get another shot, to be honest.
Yeah. He got the raw end of the deal in Arizona, and I really think that right now a team should be looking hard at Steve Wilkes as a head coach.
I feel like him and Houston might be a good match.
Yeah, but if I'm him, I would stay away from Houston.
I agreed, but I feel like he has that type of attitude to bring that lower end team up.
100% agree. But I hate to bring it to this point, but because I don't know that it has to do with it. But as a black head coach that had one and done year in Arizona, pretty much was used, it felt like, didn't get an actual opportunity, has been a proven commodity around the NFL, a highly respected coach. When he talks, he commands. When he's in front of the room's listening, from what I've understood about him. So he didn't get a fair chance, and he gets an interim head coach, and he does a good job. He does what he can do in a down year. Anybody takes over for interim and wins a couple games, they've done a good job, in my opinion. And Wilkes, I think, is a guy that I would stay away from that, because you're going to run into that opportunity. And let's be honest, if he fails there, which it could happen the way Houston is set up right now, he might never get another chance at head coach job ever again. So if I'm him, I'm picking and choosing.
So why not go to a DC spot right now and then wait for another opportunity that opens up?
That's what I would do if I were him. And I think he's going to be a hot commodity for a team, or he might take that supervisor or analysis role, or that what Vic Fangio's in right now, and Brian Flores took those kind of roles, like a help guy, you know what I mean?
No, I could definitely say that, or like a senior
advisor role.
Assistant.
That's the role. It's senior assistant. Yep. Yeah. There you go. I was trying to think of what they were calling it. It was basically just, hey, let me hire this guy so I can have him on my staff to help me out.
Well, we got more news. Tom Brady has not ruled out a Tampa Bay return, which is Josh Kimmel will give a shout out to that, because he actually predicted that last week. Dan Quinn turned down multiple job offers and said, I'm staying with the Cowboys. I have unfinished business. I love that Quinn's doing that. You build something special, but at the same time, Kellen Moore is not leaving Dallas, and that's a problem. He is a bad offensive coordinator, and that's the Achilles heel in Dallas. The defense stepped up in that playoff game. For sure. The offense crapped a bed. That's just how I see it.
For sure. And I think one of two things is a possibility here. Dan Quinn, who's actually a humble guy, is really not interested in the head coach job because he wants to finish what he started. Or he is positioning to take the head coach role in Dallas. And we know Jerry Jones is willing to hire with him. We see him do it with Jason Garrett and stuck with Jason Garrett for years. Jason Garrett took over as the interim coach and stayed there. I can see him doing that with Dan Quinn. So we'll see what happens. Although Mike McCarthy, I don't think has been terrible as a head coach. I just don't think he's the right head coach. Just because you're not terrible,
he has handcuffs on him because of Kellen Moore.
Yeah, and I honestly, that's Jerry Jones. That's where ownership gets in the way.
Yep.
Oh, I think Kellen Moore is young and bright, so let me hire a head coach that can develop him. Fine, that's great, that's phenomenal. But you don't force the coach to keep that coordinator either, because that's where things go south, and that's where things are going to have to change for them. Because let's be honest, I mean, Mike McCarthy, he got his name because of Aaron Rodgers, what Aaron Rodgers did in that offense. That offense was already potent anyway. But to be fair, he had a little bit tougher of a defense, and he did face a lot of injuries that Super Bowl run too as a head coach. So, I mean, he's not a terrible coach whatsoever, but I don't know if it's him or is it Kellen Moore or what the problem is, but I think Dallas is hurting themselves. But either way, I think Dan Quinn is their future head coach if something goes south next year.
The defense is going to be even better next year because they're going to add more pieces to it. And Quinn's already got that unit second year now playing top level. So,
And it very well could be Dan Quinn had a good run as a head coach in Atlanta. And maybe he's like, you know what? I'm good as a DC. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
Some guys are like that, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Another name in the trade market that has come up recently is DeAndre Hopkins, we've heard of, but another one to add to it that's big. I've heard Dalvin Cook being spread around now as a top trade target in the market. And the Vikings, if they got the right offer for him, they would move him. So, folks, he's injury prone, but he's durable for about 3/4 of the season. And I tell you what, I feel like the Vikings would be screwing up by getting rid of Dalvin Cook. That's just me. But if I feel like some team out there would want a running back and they'd be able to get one because in Dalvin Cook, I feel like they're just not using him properly. They were trying to do a split backfield type thing with Madison, and I didn't like that. Dalvin Cook is a single back a horse, and I think he needs to be able to have all three downs to himself.
Yeah, I think I think they definitely marriage is over there. I think it's one of those things where it's, you know what, they don't, not that they don't value running backs, but they feel like they can replace running backs a little easier. So they can go ahead and trade him, get
this
a running
offensive
back
scheme. You can change out running backs. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can go ahead and go get a running back that fits and then get a pick in return. So let's say, hey, I can go get a guy in the fourth round that can kind of replace his carries and do pretty good. And then Dalvin Cook can also bring me back a second round pick. So you get pretty good value there. So I get a second round pick and then replace him with a fourth round pick. So I get what they're doing, and we've seen it a lot. But it's going to be what's going to be the market. I guess it would depend on Saquon Barkley and depend on Josh Jacobs and how much they sign for. And then you got to look at Christian McCaffrey's already kind of changed the market for running back. So we'll see what happens with that. But I would definitely keep an eye on Dalvin Cook. I think he will be a hot commodity. I think with this draft and this free agency should have some good running backs in it. So that means if there's a running back needy team, which there are, I think it's going to be one of the things where they're going to be fighting over it. And then some teams will be sitting back saying, I'm not going to pay that. I'm just going to go ahead and trade for a guy, which then Dalvin Cook might be the guy to go after.
Hear me out. Buffalo
like
trades for
Tyreek
Dalvin
Hill
Cook.
after Christian Kirk.
Buffalo trades for Dalvin Cook and pairs him and James together. James and Dalvin, brothers in the backfield.
That was one of the first teams I thought of with that a running back needy. I could see them going after Saquon. I could see them going after Dalvin Cook. I could see them going after Josh Jacobs. I mean, they have some issues. They got some guys they need to resign, like Edmonds. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, yeah, because when you give guys like Singletary and Hines, like, sure, they're nice pieces of rotational guys, but in Buffalo, in that type of weather, Cincinnati just showed you as a cold weather team as well. Joe Mixon, like, he is a single horse running back that can take the load on and take the pressure off the QB in a cold weather game like that. Buffalo doesn't have it. That's what
I'm sorry. Like, this whole devalue the running back thing, don't pay running backs, all that. I really am tired of it because the difference is when you have a good offensive line and a good blocking system, the running backs can be just good, just average and work, but you still need 2 or 3. But it's very hard to get a good offensive line in unison constantly when you got guys get dinged up and miss a game and might miss a few plays or whatever. So it's hard to get 5 good players. It's a lot easier to find a good running back. Look at the Jets offense after Breece Hall went down. All of a sudden, the run game was good, but it wasn't where it is. The run game before they drafted Breece Hall was okay. They get Breece Hall, all of a sudden, it's really showing some promise. So, and that's a system that knows how to do that. That's Shanahan-style system. Running backs do matter. I'm not saying, like, trade up for one in the first, but Jonathan Taylor, look what he does with the Colts offense. You know, you still got to have the quarterback, but a good, talented running back still helps.
By far. And you know what? For more offenses on this coaching news, DeMeco Ryans really liked by the Broncos. For other NFL news, and another one, the transition. How about this? Nathaniel Hackett goes to the Jets as offensive coordinator.
Right.
It rolls right into that main topic.
So what does that lead into?
I think that's Aaron Rodgers possibly being traded to the Jets.
And the Jets have ammo to do it?
Bobby.
So the Jets have the ammo to do
this.
We saw this. We our network shared this earlier, and this makes a ton of sense because Nathaniel Hackett had a good relationship with Rodgers in Green Bay.
Rodgers loves Hackett.
Yeah,
Loves
and he was really Hackett was kind of the one that was like the middleman for LaFleur and Rodgers, and kind of smoothed that relationship back out. And Hackett was like who Rodgers seemed to rely on, which you could tell us more about it, but it just makes a ton of sense. They have questions at quarterback. They don't know what they want to do with Zach Wilson. And to me, the kiss of death was, oh, Zach Wilson's not going anywhere. We're not giving up on him, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know. To me, anytime a team is emphatic about like, oh, he's our starter next year, or he's, we're not giving up on him, blah, blah, blah. I think teams know, coaches know when a guy's not going to be the guy right away.
Yeah.
So I think they know Zach Wilson's not the guy and not the guy right now. So Rodgers, they have the ammo if their owner's willing to do it. If they do, that puts him right in competition with
Joe
the Bills.
Douglas has never been afraid to pull the trigger on any big trades.
Nope.
I mean, they just robbed Seattle for 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams, which has done nothing in Seattle. No. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying, 2 firsts for Aaron Rodgers. Folks, he's 1 year removed from 2 MVP years, and he had a broken thumb on his throwing hand last year and a rib injury. He's still a good quarterback. Did he have a down year? Yes.
Sure.
It was evident because he took his main target away last year in Devontae Adams. It was clear and away evident that he needed to get in rhythm too with the rookies, and that came down the stretch. But it was all a giant thing. The Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins wasn't available to begin the season, so his top 2 guys weren't there on the offensive line, having rookie offensive linemen play. It's just all about that symmetry. And finally, towards the middle of the season, you started seeing it get better, and that's why they made that little run right before the playoffs, and they lost to the Lions, but they still had that little run because everything came together.
So, like, the thing is about it, Hackett is getting heat. Media Cons had posted something about Hackett as an OC pre-Green Bay, and it was Buffalo in 13 and 14, and it was 25th. Jacksonville 16 and 17 was 27th.
Took him to an NFC Championship. I don't care. He took
Jacksonville 17 to 18. They were 15th, and then 18 he was fired. They were 30th, but this is the DVOA. But here's the thing about all this stuff: you can give me the DVOA, you can give me all that stuff, great, and I see it. But who were the quarterbacks of those teams? And I know she commented, "Oh, you're going to say the quarterbacks this and that," but an offense is only as good as a quarterback half the time. Like anytime you see a subpar quarterback doing well, a lot of time that's the coaching doing a good job. But that's not easy to do. Look at the 2 7th-round quarterbacks in the playoffs. Look at Brock Purdy versus Skylar Thompson. One looks like he belonged in the NFL, and one looked like he was a rookie. You know what I mean? Like one looked like he's been in the league a few years. One looked like a rookie. It's just one, like development of the system. How does the player, like where's the players at? Buffalo was a mess in 13 and 14.
Yep.
That was before they hired McDermott. Jacksonville's been a mess for a long time. It's not a quarter. It was more the quarterbacks that he was dealing with. Now, yeah, the offense wasn't great. I get that. But the talent with Buffalo wasn't that great. That they actually rebuilt and tore the structure down, fired the GM, hired a new head coach and GM a couple years later, and then got their quarterback. You take a look at the Jaguars. They've tore it down, hired a new GM, hired head coach. So clearly it was – you can't – I'm tired of people always blaming coaches when 9 times out of 10, there's no such thing as a magic system. A magic system doesn't exist. It's football. The players have to play. And the older I get, the more I watch football, the more I understand that there is no such thing as a magic system. There is such thing as bad coaches, guys who don't understand the flow of the game and play call. And I'm not saying Nathaniel Hackett's great, but just because he did bad in Denver as a head coach doesn't mean anything. And he did bad in Denver as a head coach, but I really think Denver's a train wreck right now. They have not been successful since Peyton Manning, since they sold out to win that Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. They've done nothing but struggle. They've churned through head coaches. And when a team churns through head coaches, you have to look at the top. And to me, it's the front office is their problem. I'm not blaming Hacker for that. And honestly, the Jets have a lot of talent on offense. And if they get Aaron Rodgers, that says a lot. And that's going to be dangerous, honestly. And that run game, their defense is already good. Their run game, and then you add the ability to throw the ball with Aaron Rodgers.
Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore.
Yeah. I mean, like all of a sudden Elijah Moore becomes a weapon, or you know what I mean? Unless he's a part of the trade, but all of a sudden Elijah Moore is no longer complaining. he wants to play football. So we'll see
People
what
don't
happens.
realize how bad Zach Wilson was last year.
Oh,
Joe
don't
Flacco
forget.
was way over the hill. Mike White had one good game.
Yeah.
It was horrible last year. And Garrett Wilson still pumped out the stats he did. That shows you how good he is.
Don't forget they got the tight end from
Cincinnati, Mr. Uzama.
Yeah, Uzama. Thank you. I was drawing a blank on his name. Don't forget they got him. So they have some talented players on that team, and that defense is already good. Their offensive line is actually not bad. It's their offensive tackles that's a problem.
They'd be able to add some pieces. Mm-hmm. And Rodgers, what caught my eye about this, when he was on the McAfee show, and they asked him, well, do you want to finish your career as a Packer? And he said, of course. But the thing is, other teams might need to move on. They did with Bret. They moved on from Montana and went to Young. He brought specific examples for that. He said some teams want to go with the younger option and they want to be able to explore the future. He said there's nothing wrong with that, and I won't hold anything for Green Bay against them for that. He said, but he goes, obviously we would need to get on the same page for that and then look down the road. But the thing is now you've got Peter King talking about Woody Johnson, one of his good friends off the field, the owner of the Jets, saying, I would gladly give up 2 firsts. And I believe Peter King because he hangs out with Woody Johnson a lot. He posts pictures with him on Instagram and everything else. And then, so basically you got the owner of the Jets saying, I will pay for his contract. I'll pay for the 2 firsts, get him here, and we'll be a playoff contender. Like, I don't know what else you need besides that. And then Robert Saleh comes out today and announces the Nathaniel Hackett hiring his OC, and then says, well, yeah, we're definitely sat down with Nathaniel Hackett and said we need a veteran QB so we can help groom Zach Wilson along the way, but also have a guy that can help lead us to a title. What other guy in the league that's going to do that right now?
Right, yeah. Unless they go after, which they could very well go after Tom Brady too. They could but I can see them going after that. I could definitely see them going after Aaron
I don't
Rodgers.
see Tom going back up in the cold. That's just me.
That's fair. But like I don't see the Jets sitting on their hands with Zach Wilson and Mike White saying, yeah, we're good. We're going into this. The Jets have they've done things better. And I know we're on a Dolphins network and this is gonna like kill half of our people that watch it all. But
Bobby's gonna mute you.
The Jets get Aaron Rodgers and the Dolphins might end up in the basement or battling for 3rd or 4th place. Like I'm serious. Like I just don't see with they get Rodgers. I can't see Tua battling out with him, especially with that defense. Rodgers is going to make that defense life easy. Unless Miami fixes all the holes they have, it's going to be a problem. New England, I don't know what they're going to do. Bill O'Brien hire was sleepy good. Like people are going to sleep in that pick, but Tom Brady had one of his best years under Bill O'Brien.
Yep.
And, I'm not obviously Tom Brady's great as he is, but you look at that offense that they had in 2011, Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator, it was nowhere near as talented as like it was in 2007, 8, and 9. So obviously Brady didn't play in a way, he played partial of a game, but so Brady had one of his best years and it was an efficient year. The offense was different than what McDaniels runs, but it was his own system. Bill O'Brien gets a bad rap because he had made bad personnel decisions in Houston, but he was always a good coach. He's been a good coach. He's a heck of an offensive coordinator. That's a sneaky, but their quarterback is still So honestly, that might put the Jets in position to battle with the Bills unless the Dolphins can do something. I think the Jets will go toe-to-toe with the Bills next year, or it could just be a really tight division race. We'll see. But I know it hasn't happened yet, but it just makes too much sense.
What's up, Dolphins?
The Jets don't pull the trigger, and the Dolphins don't have any picks to compete to get Rodgers now. Like, what can they offer right now that the Packers would say, "Oh yeah, we'll take that and pass up getting a first this year"? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing.
But I know the Jets aren't going to give it up. It's Quinnen Williams. Like, he's one of the premier.
No, I'm talking the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
The Jets have to. The Jets have the picks. They'll get rid of them.
Honestly, if you're going to look at it and say guys like either like Christian Wilkins, but Dolphins are going to give that up. He's like their heartbeat of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point. Yeah. It's like the Jets have at least guys they can move around. And I see Jets fans out there, oh yeah, we're going to offer up Elijah Moore in a 1st-round pick. I'm like, are you high? I'm like, Elijah Moore, he's talented, but nowhere
he might
near
be a part of the package. I could very well see that he's disgruntled, wants out, whatever, and it's part of the package. Cool, but I don't think it'd be like, oh, first and Elijah Moore, yeah, send it. I'd laugh at you as the Packers. Like, I'm not giving you Aaron Rodgers for a first. Yeah,
yeah,
and
Packers
the owner will gladly.
Yeah,
Right. And Rodgers, I think, gave you 2-3 years. So, I mean, 2 first-round picks is not going to hurt you when you just had 3 first-round picks this year, and it looks to have hit on at least 2 of them. They're doing really good drafting. They have a solid team, and Saleh is a good head coach, and we'll see what happens. He had to make a tough decision to fire a friend of his, but that's the business. You're not performing, you got to change things up. So, but
well, I mean, then
that's all speculation.
Well, yeah, of course, it's all speculation. Nothing's been confirmed. I mean, but a lot of the directions pointing in one way, straight from New York from Green Bay. And it's ironic enough, if it happened, it would be the same thing as his predecessor. Favre got traded to the Jets. It would have been this weird deja vu moment. They both played 15, 16 years, got shipped off.
Is he going to get traded to the Packers after? I mean, the Vikings after? Wait a minute. Or is he going to go to the Lions?
Brett, I will leave the show right now. Anyways, no. And the thing is, I've had people get angry at me as Packer fans online saying, well, you just want to see Rodgers gone. No, I love Rodgers. I absolutely love him as a QB. I love his don't give a crap personality. I love that. I love that he finally opened up and was like, listen, everybody, this is who I am. Fuck off. So I
relax, dude. RELAX.
My bad. But no, he's back on. No, he's not on the hippie thing anymore. He's dating the daughter of some Bucks owner. I can't remember her name, but that's why he cut his hair. He got away from the witch doctor named Blue or whatever her name was. But no, I love Rodgers. I love what he's done for the franchise. He brought a Super Bowl. He Super Bowl MVP, 4 MVP years. Like that. That's amazing. But I'm intrigued to see what we have in Love. So if Rodgers comes back in 2023, I would love it. I'm not going to be ashamed or mad at that because I know what he still has left in the tank. He had multiple injuries last year. It's going to be his second year with Watson and Dobbs, possibly adding a veteran wide receiver of substantial namesake, not Sammy the Hammy Watkins. But it's just the fact of I wouldn't be mad if he came back. But if we also had to go on to Love, I'm like, okay, I saw enough of the Philly game. I want to see what the kid's got.
And you don't want to sit there and hang on to it. This is why I'm big on rookie quarterbacks starting for the most part, because you want to see what they are, what they have.
I'm 50-50 on it.
Yeah. So, but there are situations where like, okay, this guy needs to sit. And like Anthony Richardson this year, he's a guy that I would say you sit him for the first year, develop him. Maybe you get him out there and blowouts either way. Yeah. But I mean, like, he's the kind of guy, okay, we're getting blown out. Go ahead and get in there, see what you got. Maybe a couple packages or a couple situations, just see how he does or whatever. But you let him sit. But you really want to see what they have in practice. Maybe you play him a lot in the preseason just to see what they have, which is like the Dolphins did that with Skylar Thompson, which is usually indicated that he's a guy that we want to keep, but we want to also develop him. So he's going to be in the roster, but he's not going to play. And I think that's at the point with Love, you need to find out, do you know what you have in him? And next year's their chance. However, if I'm the Packers, I also try to bring in someone that's familiarity with the offense. So if Love just fails, gets hurt, or just is not what you expect them to be, you have a fallback plan so you don't go to the mud. But then again, the good thing is if Love struggles and it's that bad, you spiral down and have a good draft pick.
Yeah, multiple picks, yeah.
Right, to get a better quarterback. So
Drake May, Caleb Williams. Oh,
yeah. So honestly, my opinion, I think the Packers could value a 2024 pick more so than 2023 picks, just for that reason. Because if Love fails, okay, we get a quarterback in 2024, we're good to go.
But they also could want to do a quick little rebuild around him too, and give him all the weapons he could to see how he does. So there's I could also see them going out to Ryan Tannehill.
I can see them doing Ryan Tannehill because LaFleur coached him in Tennessee
as a backup. Nope.
As a backup.
Nope. I don't need Tannehill. Nope. I'm good.
Just as a backup to, I'll just say a familiar face, knows the system, backup Love.
No.
You can do worse as backups.
I'll take JP Losman as a backup right now over Ryan Tannehill.
Oh my God. Everybody, half the people watching don't even know who that is.
Little JP Losman.
JP Losman? Who is that?
People are Googling it right now. But no, all right. You know what? We'll update you guys more on future shows for the Rodgers saga because I feel like he's going to make his decision here in the next couple weeks because he said he's not going to string along the Packers. And once they get on the same page, if he's back or not, we'll update it and let you all know. But we got some games to cover there, sir.
Yeah. And this is the exciting part of the year. So after these games and after the Super Bowl, the exciting part is all the rumors and all the stuff that's going to happen and then waiting for it to happen.
The draft prospects.
And all the trades that get talked about. And then you jump into the draft. So it's kind of a fun time of year because it's like the unknown. But let's get to talking about these
Senior
games.
Bowl is around the corner. Ooh, yeah.
So I just went to, which is a good time, which we got to go next year, hopefully. I just went to my chiropractor. He's a big Eagles fan, right? And he said, he's like, so I think the 4 best teams are in the conference championships. And honestly, I think he's right. He goes, well, the Bills weren't there, but he said the Bengals beat them. So
he's right.
Clearly the better team. I was like, yeah, I 100% agree. I think the 4 best teams from each conference made it to where they should have made it. And I think the Bengals are a problem. So I want to cover the AFC real quick.
I agree. Yeah.
Let's talk about the rematch of the Bengals and Chiefs from last year.
What rematch? Because I've looked at now the last 3 games, and Joe Burrow owns the Chiefs, sir. He owns Steve Spagnuolo, 3-0. Yeah, the Bengals players are calling it Burrowhead instead of Arrowhead because of how good he plays at that stadium. Listen, all I'm going to say right now is Joe Burrow. Folks, it's one of those things when you don't realize you're watching greatness. This is it. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes, you realized a while ago, but Joe Burrow, folks, he's it. He is that dude. He is amazing. He has this water off the back mentality. It doesn't matter if he throws 3 picks. He's going to come out and throw 4 touchdowns. He does not care about the mistakes. He's a leader. He literally puts his offense on his back, and he has all the weapons in the world to go show for it.
You want to listen to this. The 2 games he's played against the Chiefs this past December 2022, it was in Kansas City, 25 for 31. That's 80.6% completions, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Last year's AFC Conference.
That's in the cold, by the way. Yeah, that's Kansas City cold.
Yep. So last year, January 2nd, in Kansas City, 30 for 39, 76.9%, 446 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
446 yards.
When the lights shine bright, this kid steps up. Joe Burrow, ever since that game, I want to say it was against Mississippi State.
Yep. I know which game you're talking about.
Yeah, that long overtime. Yep. So you remember that all of a sudden he turned the corner and like something clicked in his head, like next year's going to be better. I'm going to be different. And he just never looked back. He finally hit that point where it's like, I'm not turning back. And he's been good. He's been elite. And a lot of people didn't give them credit. Look, getting to the Super Bowl is a brutal run. Then they come back next year. Yeah, they were banged up and they were slow to get started, and it happens. But look where they are now. That's why you can't always and you can't always go by a team with a hot start because those teams you see who is hot and stays hot. Philly, right? Philly was hot, had like a small drought, and then got hot again. Started getting dinged up, got rest, and came out firing on all cylinders against the Giants. Well, the Bengals just got that rhythm and just kept going. Same thing with the 49ers. They kept going. So they both of them started week 3 or 4. Nobody was telling them they're Super Bowl contenders. Why? I don't know. They're not a different team. They hit the win streaks. They hit the ground running, and they didn't stop. The Bengals are they go through Joe Burrow. The offensive line struggles, but because of how Joe Burrow throws the football, they have to respect him. They respect what he does. They can run the football because they have a talented running back. The offensive line does a good enough job. The running back does his job. The receivers are tough. Their front 7 is tough. They're physical. They get after the quarterback. Hubbard and Hendrickson are probably the most underrated duo of pass rushers in the NFL. They might even have them
late in the season off of injuries, and they showed why they were that important.
And the top 2 linebacking cores are in the playoffs right now. Actually, I'd say the 3 most underrated deep or linebacker cores are playing in the playoffs. I think the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Bengals linebacker cores are some of the most underrated, honestly, front 7s in the NFL. I don't understand. Like, a lot of people can't even name who's on their front 7s, yet they're 3 of the best. And I think these teams, I think the Bengals, because they can run the football, because Joe Burrow doesn't shy away from a challenge, because he steps up I really think the Bengals win this game. They go back to the Super Bowl.
There's two guys that's going to make life a living hell for Patrick Mahomes with a high-grade ankle sprain that can't run like he used to. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Superman. I don't care if you're Batman. I don't care if you're the freaking Toad from the damn X-Men. All I'm going to say is a high-grade ankle sprain. We've seen full-grown athletes go on IR for the season 3 to 4 weeks because of how bad they are.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors came out and said his ankle, he should have not have played in that game and came back in. He did, and I'll give him props for finishing the game and winning it. All that. But you got DJ Reader and BJ Hill, two of the best defensive tackles in the game today, coming at you with Logan Wilson and Pratt and that linebacker.
Jermaine Pratt coming in. They blitzed those two a lot interchangeably.
They're so nasty and physical.
And then you got Hubbard and Hendrickson to just get to the ball quickly.
Hubbard has an engine that just doesn't quit, man. Mm-hmm. Like he reminds me of Jared Allen in his prime. Like it's just nonstop every play.
Yeah,
just
I can see that. He's not a real big guy either, but he's strong. He's about the average size of a defensive end, but he plays stronger than his size suggests, just like Jared Allen. Actually, that's a really good comparison because Jared Allen was really stupid quick, but he was stronger than he appeared because his
lower body didn't look as big. His upper body was bigger, and he'd be able to throw people if he needed to.
And Hubbard, I remember wanting him in the draft, and I still remember the game that the Dolphins blew the lead, and Hubbard just made some plays. The dude is so quick off the ball, and he's a good athlete, and he just creates problems. And Hendrickson was their best free agent signing in a long time. So, I mean, plus their receivers on the offensive side of the ball, they've drafted so well at receiver. They've got Hayden Hurst playing like we thought Hayden Hurst would have. I know he's 38 now or whatever, but it's a joke. He was drafted 26. I'm just picking. But Hayden Hurst
still playing well
has really turned around. And I actually like to see that because friends of mine went to a Baltimore site. I won't say the company I work for, but they went to a Baltimore site and they went out to dinner and they met Hayden Hurst. They said he's a real nice guy, was talking to him and everything. They didn't know who he was. They don't really watch football.
So it's kind of cool early on.
Yeah. Man. And it's cool to see a guy who started his career slow, but is a nice guy, a good guy, have some success. And I'm excited for him. It's exciting to see the Bengals go from what they were in 2019, and Zach Taylor, who I respected, and Louis Anarumo, who I respected with their time at the Dolphins when Dan Campbell promoted them as interim head coach. It's great to see them succeeding because I think they are showing, hey, we're not knockoffs. The Miami situation was what it was, but look at us now, and they're doing such a great job. It helps to have such an elite quarterback in Joe Burrow, who just doesn't get rattled, who is just might be the next great quarterback in this league. I think him and Mahomes are going to be fun for years.
Well, when you have three of the best sure-handed wide receivers in the league on your own receiver corps, and Boyd, Higgins, and Chase, it's ridiculous. And then I'm sorry, I don't know if you saw the game last week, but the one catch Higgins had on the sideline where he one-handed it to himself, running into his body, he was able to corral it with both hands. People slept on T. Higgins in the draft, and God, he was amazing to watch. And
Clemson has had so many receivers in the NFL that have either been good receivers or really good receivers.
DeAndre.
Yeah, I mean, even when you get guys that are just okay, they're at least they play their role. But here's the thing:
Cap for life. Why can't we find a Joe Cool?
Well, I mean, we had a chance. Anyway, I mean, it sucks because
not going
Joe
to that
Burrow
subject.
But so when you look at this, guys, thanks for watching so much. Let's just shout out to everybody: Jerry Red, Cap for Life, Dolphins Thirsty. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, share with your friends, or don't, whatever.
Dolphins won't get beer, have fun. Dolphins won't get Rodgers because of the fact y'all are so hung up on Tua. Chris Greer, we gotta have Tua. We gotta do Tua. No, I'm sorry, folks.
He's going to sink with that ship. But no, when you look at the Bengals, the one thing I find really impressive about them is Higgins is a fantastic number 2 receiver. He's not, to me, a number 1 wide receiver. Jamar Chase is a dog. He is a true number 1 wide receiver. Tyler Boyd is a perfect interior wide receiver, perfect nickel slot, whatever you want to call it, whatever term you want to use. He's a good third receiver. These guys all fit their role extremely well, and Burrow divvies the ball up really well. On the other side of the ball, we talked about the Bengals a lot in this one. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They still have Andy Reid, one of the greatest head coaches of our lifetime. They're still an explosive offense. They're still dangerous. And even, you know what, even with Chad Henne in, because I watched Andy Reid coach the Eagles for years.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Yep.
Yes.
I watched the Eagles win playoff games with backup quarterbacks without Terrell Owens. I've seen it. So if Mahomes has to miss this game, I still would not count the Chiefs out. Do I think the Bengals would win regardless of that? Yes, but never count out Andy Reid. Never count him out. And I think it's going to be one hell of a game. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be a shootout. But ultimately, I'm really worried about Patrick Mahomes' ankle. But that offense is just so hard to stop. It's so dynamic. They still have Kelsey. You know, they still have McCole Hardman, you know, Juju Smith-Schuster. So they have so much talent in that offense still. Yet Mahomes is what makes it run. And Andy Reid knows how to call an offense, knows how to design an offense, a game plan an offense.
Can I hold you up right there? I don't think Mahomes is what makes it run. I think it's Kelsey that makes it run. Look how well they still ran with Henne in to do those 2 touchdown drives when Henne was in. They hit Kelsey up for 70% of those drives. And, folks, he finished with 14, 15 catches that game.
Sir.
Travis Kelsey is an underrated MVP candidate that should be for every year. Like, if you take him out of the Chiefs' offense,
fair,
it doesn't function.
You know what? That's a good point. But listen, we are Fins Talk Sports Network. So if you're going to talk about Chad Henne, you put some respect on his name. Former Dolphin great. Chad. I can't even finish that. I think I still have his jersey upstairs. Oh, God. I was desperate and dumb. So I was desperate for greatness. I mean, I was, 20 years old? So
Is that what you keep telling yourself about Ohio State behind you, too?
Actually, I was 21. I was just legal to drink. So, you know, I got stupid shit-faced drunk every time the Dolphins lose. I'm kidding.
If Gesicki leaves, who will be our tight end 1? Someone better than Mike Gesicki. How about that?
Someone I can block. Hopefully.
Hey, Hayden Hurst, man. How about
that? Until he goes somewhere else. So that game, I'm going with the Bengals. I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm going with the Bengals.
So cool.
Yeah.
No, I am going to give Spagnuolo some props here, because they've got some pretty nice pieces up front. Frank Clark, Chris Jones, plus one of my favorite linebackers to come out of the draft in the past couple of years,
Bolton?
Willie Gay. Willie Gay. I love Nick Bolton, but Willie Gay is a mean SOB, and I love it. Mm-hmm. He plays with authority. He does not care if you come across the middle and he gets a flag for unnecessary roughness. He'll do it, and he will make you think twice about it. I love Willie Gay's tape out of Mississippi State.
Right. And they might not be the most physically imposing defense, front seven, but they have so much speed. Bolton and Willie Gay are so fast.
Back and forth, yeah.
So they're extremely fast. They cover pretty well. Again, their defense is not the greatest defense. It's also not a terrible defense.
Their back end is not the strongest. That's the only problem.
But their front seven gets after the quarterback and in a hurry. So I think Chris Jones is so good. He is such a beast up front. But
when Joe Burrow just threw 446 yards against you last matchup in the playoffs last year, and that was the almost same exact offensive line and same almost defense on the field, I'm taking the Bengals.
Well, I mean, I'm taking the Bengals too. But speaking of Chris Jones, you know what school he went to?
Oh, he's an animal. I love Chris Jones.
He's from Mississippi State. But you know who else went to Mississippi State? Back when they had a bunch of freaks on defense, Fletcher Cox, who remains somehow one of the best defensive tackles in the league and one of the most underrated defensive tackles in the league. And that entire defense is playing really well and has been playing well for quite a few years now, since Doug Peterson. And the Eagles, that's going to be a fun matchup. I think that's going to be Brock Purdy,
Jordan Davis. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, their linebackers are good. I mean, that defense is going to be, I think, one of Brock Purdy's toughest matchups he's had to face. Their secondary is good. You know, the whole defense
Reddick is on a terror.
Mm-hmm. And their defensive coordinators up for head coach jobs. So now they're looking at possibly keeping Fangio on staff, as a defensive coordinator next year. So, but their defense is there, man. Like they're they're playing really well. They got Josh Sweat back playing really well. So, like you said, Hassan Reddick, they can get after
TJ
Purdy.
Edwards,
the problem.
He is all over the place.
Such a
Three
beast
down
out of
linebacker.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's what I said. The 3 most underrated linebacker corps, which are probably the 3 best in the NFL, are playing in the conference championship right now. Again,
the 49ers
linebackers are
underrated.
important.
I think they're the top. I think they're close to being the top.
The reason I say they're underrated is because when people talk about linebacker corps, no one's really talking about them like they should be. I don't see. Well, we do, but I don't see people like talking about like, I want a linebacker that they don't mention Fred Warner. Like, if I'd want to give me a Fred Warner all day. But no, I think like this, the defenses, linebackers matter. I'm sorry, it's just like running back. If you have an okay defensive line, but you have a beast of a linebacker, the beast of a linebacker is always going to show up. It's the same thing with running back. But these teams kind of mirror each other. They run the ball really well. They get creative on offense. They're physical at the point of attack. They like to hit you in the mouth. They're not afraid to get frisky. So this is going to be a little bit more old school here. This is going to be a slugfest, I think. They're going to go at it. They're going to get after each other. And I think I think the Eagles win this game.
Well, we're split because I think 49ers are taking it.
Really?
I think Nick Bosa shows up and he is defensive player of the year all day long. I don't care who argues that. The Bear is here to stay. And you saw what he was doing against Dak the other night. He was blown by Tyler Smith the entire night, and they literally had to chip block him and double block him the entire night, and he was still getting the Dak. Like, it just shows how big of an imposing will he has on the game. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat, but Nick Bosa, the fact that people pay so much attention to him, it frees up guys that they still forget. They have Javon Kinlaw in the middle. They still have Eric Armstead. Like, they still got guys and then Drake Jackson, who's come on hot as another pass rusher on the other edge from USC that drafted that was last year. So, man, I'm telling you, with that line, I like TJ Edwards, but I still have enough. That's my hole on Philly's linebacker core is they need someone opposing him, and I feel like there's no one there next to him that's –
No, there's not.
San Francisco has 3. They have Shazier, they have Warner, and Greenlaw to back up that defensive front. And I know Philly has the better corners in Slay and Bradbury, and they got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back there. But Jimmy Ward has been playing some of the best football I've seen from him in his entire career, especially last week.
He really has been. He really has been. He's been really good this year.
D'Amico Ryans is up for a head coaching job more than any defensive coordinator right now in the league. And Denver, like I said earlier, is wanting him bad. And they have a 0-0 in the house. And that shows you how bad they want D'Amico Ryans, because 0-0 finished with a 2nd or 3rd overall defense in the league. And they still want D'Amico Ryans. That's how much they believe in this guy. So I just think D'Amico, he puts his playing style and his coaching, because D'Amico was a mean SOB as a linebacker, and I loved watching him play.
But D'Amico coaches like he played. He's prepared.
Exactly what I was saying.
He prepared with a fine-tooth comb, because he wasn't the biggest guy. He wasn't the greatest athlete, but he overperformed all of that because he was mentally prepared every single week. And you know where he played after playing with the Texans? In Philly.
Eagles.
So you tell me like this game doesn't have a little personal edge for him. Not that he has anything against Philly, because his time in Philly worked out really well, but I'm sure he would love to get to the Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator. Obviously help his head coach job, but beating the team he used to play for and the stadium he used to play in, and then get to the Super Bowl possibly against a coach he used to play for in Andy Reid. So it'd be really interesting there. But D'Amico Ryans, you're right, is such a hell of a defensive coordinator. He's got the guys playing really well. I'm not knocking
Philly's defense. It's still good.
Not at all. No, they're still good defense. So we're saying that both teams can run the football, right? We're saying both teams, honestly, they both have explosive players on at the receiver position, right? I think that's pretty fair. They both have good tight ends. Whoever you think is better doesn't matter. I think they're close enough all around.
I love Goddard, but Kittle is on the fire lately.
I agree, but like when you look at the total package of weapons together, I say they're pretty close. The run games are close, committee backfield, but it's going to come down to what? Quarterback. That's going to be tough to say. I really think Jalen Hurts is just ice in his veins. I think they get to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, I think he does. But the thing is, it's that linebacker core for San Fran that makes me think, okay, they're going to be leaving a spy on him for Jalen in case he runs. You've got 3 linebackers that has the speed to keep up with him. So,
and they're really good at stopping the RPO. They are really good at that. The 49ers, they do pretty good against that.
It's because they practice against it every week. That's what they ran with.
Yeah.
How long was Shanahan for a while? And I mean, I can't. It's just hard. Like everyone told me last week, oh yeah, the moment's going to be too big for Brock Purdy. What did he do last week? He went out and managed the offense down the field, handed the ball off, hit the little play action passes, got the win.
But is Brock Purdy going to be playing? It looks like it right now, but it said Jimmy G could be back. I haven't heard anything.
Purdy's playing. Yeah,
so there you go. So this is going to be his toughest challenge yet. This is the toughest defense he's faced in the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. Dallas's defense was pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, you're right. Dallas did have a good defense.
Micah Parsons is
that's Dallas actually though, because that was a low scoring game, so that was 2 defenses slugging.
19-12. That's all it was.
Yeah,
there wasn't no big
and this
spread.
game could come down to that too. I mean, this could be 2 defensive slugfests.
It's going to be closer. I think it's going to be a 2-point spread.
And honestly, it makes it interesting. So no matter who wins, 49ers or Eagles, they match up really well against the Bengals. But if you look at the offensive side, I'm not going to get too much into prediction for Super Bowl, but if you look at the offensive side, to me, the powerhouses in the AFC, the Bengals and Chiefs, can score against any defense. However, we've seen powerful offenses get blown up by good defenses. You know, we've seen Seattle what they did to the Broncos in the Super Bowl
versus Kansas City.
Yep. We saw even go to the Saints versus the Colts in the Super Bowl. You know, defense made a difference there. So then we've seen really good offenses pick apart a really good defense. You go to the Colts and the Bears in the Super Bowl. So I really think no matter who makes it to the Super Bowl, no matter who it's against, it's going to be fun. I will say, being in the Philly market or knowing a lot of Philly fans, I think a lot of people want to see Andy Reid versus the Eagles. But
of course they do. That'd be the fun story.
I mean, but you know, at the same time, though, a lot of the Eagle fans are saying like if they lost to Andy, if they're going to lose the Super Bowl and it's to Andy Reid, it won't hurt them as bad. It'll hurt because like they're losing to Andy Reid, who used to be their coach, and he couldn't win a Super Bowl there. So to feel good for them to beat Andy Reid, but at the same time, they said that they won't hate him for winning that. But I love Andy Reid, and I would love that story. And nobody be surprised if it happens, but I just think it's going to be Eagles versus Bengals in the Super Bowl.
I'm 49ers versus Bengals. I don't think there's no stage too big enough for Purdy. He's another one, like you said, but he's got ice in his veins. He doesn't he doesn't do the whole head shake like Josh Allen or Rodgers. He doesn't do the whole, you don't see emotions come from him. If he messes up, just jogs out the field, goes and sits with a Microsoft tablet, looks at Shanahan. Okay, gotcha. All right, cool.
But that's the same thing with Jalen Hurts too. Like I always go back to this. Oh yeah. That's what I always go back to with him. Like when you see him go, like the Baylor game, he fumbled, threw an interception. He was making mistakes. He put them in a hole. His face on the sideline wasn't pouty. It wasn't lost. It wasn't scared. It was just kind of like, got this. And he carried that on the field, and players can feel that. And when a player can feel, when teammates can feel that the quarterback's got you no matter what, that's what Joe Burrow is, that's what you need. And they feed off of that. Like, hey, you know what? I feel good about running this route because he's going to give me the ball. You feel good. Hey, I feel good about blocking this because if I do my job, this play, good things about to happen. So it's like Joe Burrow is that way. You know, obviously Mahomes is that way. And Jalen Hurts is that way. And Brock Purdy, for a 7th-round rookie, is that way. He never looks surprised because he is constantly preparing. So he's a guy that, like, changes things because you're not used to seeing a 7th-round rookie make the Super Bowl or this far. But I think this is where their run ends. And I think this is where the Philadelphia Eagles take over. I think some of their experience takes over, and I think they win this game. But it's going to be one fun matchup, though.
We'll see, my friend, because I think Kyle Shanahan has he's trying to avenge some of those tough losses he's had in the Super Bowl as an OC, as a head coach.
Yep.
I think he.
he would probably love to get in against the Chiefs and avenge that Super Bowl loss that he had a couple years ago. So, I mean, there's a lot of stories that could happen here. 49ers versus Bengals goes back to the 80s times, the Boomer Esiason days.
Boomer Esiason, Montana
days. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of cool, like going like a little throwback in a sense that way. That would be kind of a cool thing to see some of the old guys come back and reminisce from like the time when those two always met in the Super Bowl. Was it 3 times they met in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So that would be kind of cool story. Obviously, Chiefs versus Eagles would be a cool story, but for me, I just want a fun, exciting game. I think we're going to get that no matter what for the Super Bowl, but I think this weekend's going to be really fun. If you're a football fan that could just watch football and just appreciate good football, this is a hell of a weekend to be a part of it, and I'm super excited about it. But my prediction, to recap, is Bengals win a good shootout and the Eagles win a tough, hard-fought game. So I got Bengals, Eagles.
I have Bengals winning by 10 or more, just like I did last week against the Bills, but I haven't beaten them by the Chiefs. I just think Mahomes' ankle is going to be too much for him. I think you've got so much speed coming off the edge, off the linebacker blitzes, up the middle, and the defensive line for Cincinnati. I feel like you've got a lot of people coming after Mahomes now, especially with that ankle. Not saying they're going to target it, but I'm just saying it's blood in the water. The players obviously saw it last week. And just letting you know, I've never seen Travis Kelce fumble a ball. So Jermaine Pratt now has 1, but 2 fumble strips on Travis Kelce out of the last 3 matchups. So just be prepared.
Opportunistic.
So I'm taking the Bengals by 10 or more. I know it's a risky pick, but I'm taking it.
Right.
Joe Cool hasn't let me down yet, and I'm taking the 49ers that win by 2, 26-24.
Damn. All right. So that's our picks. Dave and I both agree Bengals win, and we both differ on the other game. He thinks 49ers, I think Eagles, and I don't think you guys understand how hard it is for me to say the Eagles when I have to deal with Eagles fans on a regular basis. But they have a good football team, and we're unbiased on this network.
They eat horse crap when they win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, I can't respect fans that do that.
I've seen. I'm a Phillies fan. I'm a Sixers fan. But I'm not an Eagles fan, and I've seen this city win a championship twice. I've seen it in 2018 and in 2008. So I'm not used to this team seeing this city win and be in it this often. I mean, I've seen the Sixers in it, but no. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be an exciting weekend. I'm really looking forward to these games on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be in the Super Bowl, the story that's going to follow. And I'm also intrigued to follow up with the whole Aaron Rodgers saga. I think he does get traded to where, who knows? Looks like the Jets, in my opinion, make the most sense. But we've seen this play out before. Something seemed to make sense, and then they did the complete opposite. We'll see. I still think it makes a ton of sense. And I think it's going to be really interesting in the next couple of years. Things just kind of shifting and changing for what we used to know. And the new powers.
The quarterbacks are taking over.
The Bengals are a force to be reckoned with right now. I mean, and let's be honest,
quarterbacks in there right now: Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts, Purdy. They're all young QBs.
Yep. And I absolutely love Hurts. I loved him in the 2020 draft. I don't think enough people gave him credit for him and how he handled himself through the entire situation at Alabama. He even stayed instead of all these kids now jumping in the transfer portal as soon as they get benched for one game. They want to go to the transfer portal. Hurts stayed there, and he waited. And he waited another year. He could have transferred.
Tua went down.
Yep. And he said, I can stay here. But no, he said, I'm staying here. And then the next year it was saving hey, look, man, we're going with Tua. You might want to transfer. I hate to see you waste your last year of eligibility here. And he did. He left. And it was and look what he's done with himself in the NFL. And people, he's not accurate. He's not this. He's not that. He's far from a finished product. I get it. But he was not a terrible quarterback. To develop at all. And I can't teach the tools he has. I can't teach his size and raw strength. I can't teach his calm, humble nature.
His legs
I can't
are so
teach
strong,
his fearlessness.
My
right.
God.
I can't teach his athleticism or his arm strength, which is a pretty damn good arm. You can't teach any of that. But what I can teach him is how to use those tools. And you see what's happening. And I can't wait to see the growth of him. Can't wait to see the 49ers situation next year with the quarterback situation. I can't wait to see Yeah, like, and then the Bengals and Chiefs are going to be in it for the long haul. Are the Bills going to be back? You know, if the Jets get Rodgers, it's exciting times are coming to the NFL. What happens with Brady? Where does he go? So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
With that said, the recap: Frank Reich's the new head coach of the Panthers. Steve Wilkes is out there. He is looking for. He'll probably become a DC somewhere. I really hope he gets another chance at head coach, though. We got some coaching candidates. D'Amico
Ryans being heavily favored for Denver. You still got the Texans, Cardinals job open. Yeah, there's some jobs open right now that have some talent there.
The enemy has also interviewed for other offensive coordinator positions. That can be intriguing. So maybe he can get out of Andy Reid's shadow and say, "Look, it's not Reid, it's me," or I'm just as good or whatever. So that's cool. That'd be good to see for him. But that's it. I mean, that's it for us guys. I'm super excited about this weekend. It's championship weekend. I know we only got 2 more weeks of football, but I am looking forward to some fun, exciting games this weekend. So I also want to give one shout out to Josh Wingate. He just had a tragic loss in his family.
We love you, brother.
So we just want to let you know we're here for you. We love you. The Everybody Network. We care about you. We're thinking about you. If you haven't yet, let Josh know you care about him, think about him. It's a tough time. So I did want to give him a shout out there. It's a heck of a time to lose your family member, but I'll leave this for his privacy. I'll leave the details out. But Josh, we're thinking about you. We love you. If you need anything, we're right here, man. We're all right here at Defense Talk family. So
love you, dude.
That's it for us, guys. Enjoy Championship Sunday. Till next week. We're out.